Hello everyone, it's Sandra with Outside the Box Soaps, and thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to make a soap cake. So I have not done this before, so again, as most of my videos are, this is a first. So we're going to give it a shot. So in here, in the bowl, I have all of my oils. So I have coconut, shea butter, olive. I have some apricot kernel oil, and I have some aloe vera oil. So that's what we've got in there going. And what I'm going to do is basically do natural soap color. Maybe I'll add a little titanium dioxide to the base. And the fragrance I'm using today is a vanilla hazelnut, and it smells just amazing. This one happens to come from Wholesale Supplies Plus, but I'm sure that the other places like Brambleberry have it, and it's just wonderful. I used it before, but I did it in a scrub, so I don't know how it's going to react in a soap, so we will see. But the base is going to be mostly natural, and then I'm going to be doing some piping and try to put some nice leaves and some little flowers on top when we're all done. Okay, so it looks like everything is ready temperature wise, and I'm going to go ahead and add my lye. I have it sitting here in a nice bath, and it's just about ready to go. So let's get started with the lye water. And I did add some silk to my lye water. Just a note on that, if you add your silk fairly soon after you prepare your lye water, it really will dissolve very quickly for you in there. So just after your lye water clears up is a good time to put it in. I've tried it later, and it really does take a bit longer and a lot more stirring. So I've put it in just after, and it seems to dissolve really quickly. Alright, so I don't want to get this, again, you know, that thickness enemy that we have, that we soap makers have. Thickness is our enemy. I'm going to try to avoid that, so I'm going to alternate between stirring and bursting, and just try to get this to emulsification. Still seeing a little bit of color change in here when I blend, and it doesn't look like it's at trace yet. So we'll give it just a tad more time. Okay, so since I'm going to be working with colors, I'm not going to let this get too out of hand. Although I have used a very similar recipe before, and it behaved very nicely with colors. I didn't have any issues. But as you know, every time you make it, it's a little different. And if you change up an ingredient, you could have a completely different result. And even sometimes it's just the fragrance or temperature or some small thing. All right, so what I'm going to do now is separate this into two. I would like to keep, as I said, I'm going to have, oh, you know what? Let's add the fragrance first. No, let's separate it first. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to separate it because I want to retain some for icing. And then I'm going to also keep some for colors. I'm going to end up putting some into some of these color cups. So the main color is going to be, I'm going to add a little bit of titanium dioxide to this. And before I do that, I'm actually going to do a little swirl in my cake. And since it is a vanilla hazelnut, I have some cappuccino mica in here. And I'm going to add that to be my my drop swirl colorant. So let's get that stirred and ready to pour. And I don't really have to worry a whole ton about freezing up with most of this, simply because, as I said, it's going to be piping. So I'm hoping we didn't get a mess here because it is looking a little thick. I did want to add a little bit of titanium dioxide to this one. Let's hope we don't get a freeze. No, we don't. Cool. All right. It's going to add a little bit here. And it will look like a vanilla cake. And for the icing, I'm going to add a lot more because the frosting will be pretty white. Okay, so there we have that. All right, now I'm going to do an in the pot swirl for my lovely cake here. So I'm going to take my cappuccino mica. I am going to hold it up high while I pour here, and we're going to do this at 12 o'clock. Then we're going to do it at 3 o'clock. Then we're going to do it at 6 o'clock. Then we're going to do 9. And we will repeat that pattern. So we go back to 12, 3, 6, and 9. All right, and that should give us plenty of swirly swirl. Okay, so in the pot swirl, we're going to do around the clock just once, and then we're going to go straight down. We're going to let that just pour in just like that and see how beautiful it comes. Now I hope that's enough to fill this. I did measure it, but I'm not really sure that I put enough in here. So let's get pouring. And this, by the way, is a nice cake mold. I did have some trouble finding ones that were high enough. A lot of them were very thin. They were only an inch tall. And I really wanted something that was a little bit higher. So I was able to find this, and when I get done with this, I can put a link to where I bought this. All right, so I actually still have some more space in here. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more TD to this big part. Let me just widen this because you obviously are not seeing what I'm doing. So, I know that's not as wide as it goes. Anyway. All right, don't know why the camera's being funky, but I'll try to squish it in here. So what I'm doing is I'm adding some titanium dioxide to the rest of that pot that I had here, because I was going to do that anyway to make up the whipped cream piece. And I'm just going to move this over for you. And you know what? This is the second time I've done this recently, is I forgot to put my fragrance oil in. So it's kind of good that we're going to be adding some more, because what I'm going to do right now is to add the fragrance oil into what's left here. I don't want to mess up that beautiful in the pot swirl, so I don't want to go and try adding a fragrance oil to it at this point in time. So instead, I'm going to just add it right in here. And I did see a tip, which is a smart thing to do. Someone talked about putting your fragrance oil right in the middle of your mold so that you won't forget about doing it and adding it. And I did not do that today, and we can see how that ended up. Okay, so I really wish I could figure out, I'm going to stop for a minute and see if I can figure out what's going on with my camera and why I can't make a wider view for you. Okay, so I'm back and I have gotten a wider angle for you. Very happy I could do that. And I also noticed that the hazelnut fragrance for some reason has really discolored in that piece that was still in my bowl, but it didn't in my mold. So I don't know what that's about, but I quickly just mixed up some more cappuccino mica dark chocolate color. It's not quite the same as what's in there, but I think it's going to make an interesting cake because this base layer has also changed. So I'm going to do a second swirl and pour, and again I'm going to do a 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9. Okay, and it will just, I think, add to the interest in the cake. Maybe it'll look like it has a couple different layers. All right, so again, we're gonna go, let me get this pot out of the way. Gonna go in like the clock, so around and then down. All right, now I'm going to add this to my mold, which is just a little bit set up already. So it'll be interesting to see just how this cake turns out. As it always is when I make soap, it's always an interesting experience. So I guess that's part of being new, but sometimes I get very pleasant surprises, and sometimes it's not such a happy soaping day, and I'm sure that you all have those as well. Okay, so there is what I've got. So maybe it will look like a chocolate layer and a vanilla layer with chocolate running through. So, should have put this on a pan so that I could bang it down and get rid of my air bubbles, but didn't do that, so now we're stuck with it. All right, I am going to again pause, see if I can put this on a pan so we can get it out of the way. So I did not find a pan that was big enough to hold that, so I think we'll just have to deal with it. I am going to see what's happened to the rest of my stuff here. And this has really become a funky color. It's sort of a pink. So we may end up with hazelnut icing instead of white icing. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get back to white. I think what happened is when I used the spatula, I had some of the cappuccino mica on the spatula, I didn't clean it off completely, and that's why I ended up with this kind of odd color. But I do want to try to do some colors for my different pipings. So I have some pink in here. I'm going to see what color it will turn. I'd like to do some little pink flowers. And I think they will work even though the color of the icing is changed from white to this peachy kind of color. But actually it's interesting because it could be sort of a hazelnut color. Alright, so we did get pink. We want to add a little more there. And just so you can see, here in the cup, we did get pink. Also want to mention that when I started, I did not have my gloves on, and that is a no-no, as we know. And I did get reminded of that because my fingers started burning. So when I paused to make a move with the camera, I also put my gloves on. So we're all in good stead at this point. All right, I'm going to make a little bit of green also because I do want to pipe some leaves. And I hope this is going to leave me with enough piping to be able to do my tops. Again, I don't really know how that will work out. I'm going to just take the little mini blender to this. Hoping you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, and I did get a green. A little bit more in there. And for some reason stirring's not doing it for this, so I'm going to use the mini blender. I don't know if that color is how the color's showing up. I won't know, I guess, until I watch it when I edit it. But it is a nice, it's a pale green, but it is a nice green. So we have pink and we have some green, and then we have this lovely peachy hazelnutty color that's going to be the main frosting for the cake. And even though I didn't intend it to be that way, we're going to go with the flow. So why don't I pause you? I'm going to fill my piping bags and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Okay, so it has taken quite a while to get my soap to piping consistency, but I think that we're there. So what I did is I put my main color into the bag, and what I did with the bag is I actually just painted some cappuccino mica along the side of the bag so that it would come out hopefully in a stripe, but I'm not sure if it's going to work, so we will find out. Okay, so here's the cake, and we're going to start to pipe. And I am very sorry, I just realized that my hand is in the way, so you really can't see me piping. But all I'm doing is just sort of pushing the batter along. It doesn't look like the mica trick worked. I don't see any of that coming out, but that's okay. Just thought I'd give that a shot to see if it worked. And obviously, it didn't. So now I've got my first round around my cake. All right, so I'm going to finish piping some more rows around the cake, and then I'll bring you back and when I'm ready to do the flowers. So we are, zoom in. So we've got all of our little swirls in there, and now I'm just going to try and add some green leaves here and there. Not the queen of piping, but we'll see how this turns out. This actually isn't don't think this is quite the perfect leaf tip. I think I may have taken out the wrong one. There's probably a better one to do this with. But we'll get some color into it. And that's really sort of the idea, is to just get some color into it. And just going to extend these sort of into the center. Okay, so now we've got some green in there, and the last thing that I'm going to do is just put some pink flowers around, and then we'll be all done. So I'm gonna try doing, let's try putting one here and just see if we can put some little pink flowers around. And I am just eyeballing, so it is probably not not perfectly symmetrical. Try to get it even. Little row of flowers right there. And then maybe seems like I might be running out of my pinky, and I don't have any more mixed. So let me see if I can do them sparingly, just to get around the rest of this. And you'd be surprised at how much you can squeeze out when you absolutely have to. But I don't know how this is going to go in terms of cutting. I don't know the placement and where it's going to fall when I do pieces, and I guess I will learn through this. It'll be my first one, hopefully not my last one, but I think it's looking cute. And what I may do is just a little dollop of pink here and there, just to give it a little bit of pink on the outside, all the way around. And, oh, I almost said something I shouldn't have said. Looks like I got my shirt into one of the swirls, and that's never good. So I'm going to see if I could just redo that little piece right there and just make it look as natural as possible and not like it was a mistake. All right, so this is it. It is done, and I will let that set up. I will definitely cut it and show you the finished product when it's all done. So thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.